So the release of the Xiaomi 13 Pro has been a while ago, and in the meantime, Xiaomi introduced a new series, the Xiaomi T series. Now I didn't get it because I don't know why, but lucky enough, TK helped me out. So I do have the Xiaomi 13T, and we're gonna find out how the camera performs in this first impression video, because I gotta take it out more to see how the camera properly performs. But there are some takes that I already have on it, including some changes when it comes to the software experience of course the Xiaomi 13T. So let's find out how the performance is and quickly talk about specifications as well. Also, before we start this video, just really quickly, I made a shop in my conceptscreator.com where you can actually buy some shots that I've taken on my phones, but also of course on my proper DSLR, which has a price difference. Of course the phones are a little bit cheaper because simply put, they're not as good as when it comes to a camera versus a phone. But either way, check it out in the link of the description. It helps me travel more and find different locations to take more shots and really have different situations that I can play around with when it comes to photography. Either way, let's continue the video. So before we start showing images and video a little bit as well, let's talk about the camera specifications for of course the Xiaomi 13T. That does come with basically the same specifications as of course the Xiaomi T Pro, but it does come with a different CPU. So when it comes to the Xiaomi 13T, you get the MediaTek Dimensity 8200 Ultra. When it comes to the camera specifications, you get a 50 megapixel main camera with a 1.9 aperture, which is 24mm equivalent, which is wide. When it comes to the sensor size itself, it's a 1/128 inch sensor size. We get a 50 megapixel telephoto lens with a 1.9 aperture, 50mm equivalent, and a 1/288 inch sensor size. And then lastly, we get a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera with a 2.2 aperture, 50mm equivalent, and a 1/306 inch sensor size. When it comes to video recording, max goes up to 4K and 30 frames per second. I don't mind it that much. 60 frames would have been nice to have on top of it, but honestly, missing 8K here doesn't really bother me, because 8K recording on video, I never use it. Yes, you can future-proof it, kinda, because the video quality still isn't that great in terms of stability, frames per second for most phones, and so on. So I don't really use 8K that much, if ever. But when it comes to it, having 4K 60 frames per second would have been nice, but 4K 30 frames per second I'm also fine with. Anyway, let's look at some results, some images that I've taken. But again, before that, let's talk about the software changes that they made on, of course, the Xiaomi 13T series. Because there are some things that are good, but also some things that I don't like. Now, to begin with, we do have some difference when it comes to zooming in. Normally, you get this horizontal line from 0.6 in this case to, for instance, 2. And you can just then zoom in digitally as well. When it comes to the Xiaomi 13T series, however, we have a change. Swipe up below where you get your 0.6, your ×1, and of course your ×2, and you will get this half rounded circle we can easily scroll through. This makes it a little bit easier to control your zoom as well, and it also kind of tells you what your zoom capabilities are on the specific phone. I like that addition. Really works well and works intuitive. Yes, I know. It really reminds me of course, the old Nokia Lumia days, but for me, that's fine. If it works, it works. I don't really care. When it comes to video recording, however, I do have a change that I don't like. For instance, want to record 4K 30 frames per second, which is the max, of course. Well, you have to tap on it. If you, for instance, miss the 4K and you're at 1080p, you have to tap on it, and then it goes to 4K. If you then go again, it will go to 720. You cannot, for instance, jump from 720 straight away to 4K in that quick setting at the top. You can, but you have to go to the settings and then go there. So for me, that works less intuitive. I think it works better if you do it what it was on the Xiaomi 13 Pro, but not a real big issue. Also, in terms of styles, I do miss the film style, but in turn, we do have Leica Sepia. Sepia? Sepia? How do I say that? That one. However you say that, that one. That's the one that I mean. I think it... Sepia? Doesn't really matter, no. But we do get that extra, and I actually really like it. Still miss film, but overall, again, these styles are something that I find important when it comes to mobile photography, and I'm glad to see that we get these styles. I'm glad to see that, of course, we get the Leica collaboration again with the 13T series as well, which we didn't have, of course, when it came to the Xiaomi 12T. Anyway, let's discuss the results and of course, let's talk about my experience so far with the Xiaomi 13T and the camera performance.
Recording 4K 30 frames per second. We zoom out with growth. And there we go. Didn't want to do it. And look at the Yes, you can. Funny enough, 1080p, 60 frames per second. You cannot make it make sense. But at least here you can switch to the ultralight and pocket 30 frames per second. Okay, both recording 1080p 30 frames per second. Straight away you can tell that the 13T is a lot sharper, which I do not prefer realistically. It just seems a bit too sharp. And of course a lot of people think sharpness means detail. No, it does not. Of course you can, let's zoom in. Zoom out to the ultra wide with both of them in 1080p and 30 frames. Again, if you are in 1080p and 60 frames per second, you cannot. Video recording 1080p. Can we go to auto ride? Yes, we can. You cannot do this at 1080p and 60 frames. Okay, 30 frames, main sensor. Too solid. And you cannot. Oh, actually, you can. 4K, 30 frames per second. You can also zoom out. Surprising.
Of course, we're gonna do a longer video for how I feel about the phone itself, but that's gonna be on the main channel. I really want to focus and niche down on this channel, mainly to go about photography. Either way, let's show results and talk about my opinion about it so far. So, the Xiaomi 13T. It costs quite a bit less than the Xiaomi 13 Pro, and you can find it secondhand quite cheaply as well now, the Xiaomi 13 Pro. Cheaply, let's be fair, your normal consumers, it's still gonna cost quite a bit, and you have to keep that in mind. But when it comes to the Xiaomi 13T, we do get some benefits, I think. For instance, you get really long software support now, which is great. Glad to see that Xiaomi is taking that into consideration as well. 4 years of Android updates and 5 years of security updates. We're gonna wait and see, of course, how that holds up in the future, but I think that's a great step forwards. You need to have phones that have longer updates, especially security updates. I'm fine with running an older Android version as long as you get security updates. Either way, when it comes to the Xiaomi 13T, when it comes to the camera itself, so far it has been doing well. I do think that video recording is quite a bit too sharp compared to my 13 Pro. It's a little bit too much for myself, and you can see it in some videos where I compare it with the 13T. You can clearly see that it's sharpening more than, for instance, the Xiaomi 13 Pro, and that is not my preference. I don't like images that are sharpening, and it just gives this false illusion of details, and I don't agree with that take. Well, my take I agree with, but not the take to sharpen up the images or video. Either way, when it comes to the Xiaomi 13T, so far I'm quite impressed with the camera performance, and it seems to be a really good deal. We're gonna wait and see in the longevity and how it holds up, and of course when it comes to these updates, and of course having more situations where I can play around with the camera itself, because that's gonna make a big difference. Right now it's grey outside, there isn't much that I can do about the weather itself, so we're gonna have to wait and see. Autumn is gonna be amazing though. Autumn is the best season, especially for photography, and then winter. Why am I rambling about that? Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and of course if you did, don't forget to subscribe, like and everything, and don't forget to go below on conceptscreator.com and then shop, because I'm selling pictures, and that will help me go to different locations and of course take different shots. I would really appreciate it. I made them, I think, a fair price, but let me know what you think about it. Anyway, have a good one, and talk to you guys in the next.